Remax Metro, happy Sunday to you and happy end of your July 4th weekend. I hope everyone had a wonderful time celebrating Independence Day here in America. What a great place to live that it is. I hope you've had a great weekend. I'm here again for another Metro Minutes. And as always promised, I'm going to keep it short and to the point. Okay. I've got three topics, three quick things I want to go over with you, some ideas to get your brain going with some concepts and some ideas to hopefully get you some more business and get you busier than you are currently. Okay, so let me go in here and share my screen. The first thing we're going to go to is my slide deck right here. Let me get over here. I wish I would have had this organized for you. My bad. I'm trying to make sure I am quick and to the point for you. All right, so we're going to talk about three quick ideas of some things you can do to incorporate into your business. The first bucket we're going to talk about here is going to be branding in general. We're going to talk about brand guides and brand voice and tone. Why is this important? It's something I've talked about for months. Some of it falls on deaf ears. I know you don't see the importance. A lot of you don't see the importance of why you should have a brand. You are here at Remax Metro at Remax because of a brand. So the irony of not having your own brand, I know you can ride the Remax brand, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you're in alignment with that as far as all of your outreach and as far as your messaging and as far as your social media and keeping it in the Remax Metro brand. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But there's also something to be said about having a personal brand and attaching it to the Remax brand, which most of you do have. It's just not very fleshed out at this point. So I'm gonna give you some examples of why that's important. So if I go in here and you see define your audience, okay? So the reason why this is important because you're gonna define your voice and tone. The voice is your personality. It's either you're a friendly expert, you are a luxury consultant and advisor, and also what your tone is. Most of you have different personalities and you all have different tones in the way you address yourself and the way you like to address your clients. Depending on you defining who your client is, that's how you're going to speak and the tone you're going to have that resonates with those clients. Okay. So how the voice tones adapts. Is it more upbeat? Is it more professional? And it's depending on the audience. You know, for a first-time home buyer, you may have like a more of a reassuring and empathetic type approach than you would with someone, let's say that's a luxury type client. So a tip is to create a voice and tone guide that has approved words and phrases that you can lean on. Okay. Why a brand guide matters. It matters because you're consistently putting out the same quality of content with across listings, your posts, your emails, and even bumper stickers. I'm not sure who even uses bumper stickers anymore, but I thought I was funny to add in there. But it builds trust. So prospects know who they are before they even meet you. Your brand shows up in the room before you actually do. It's a practical step would include a color palette, your fonts, certain imagery styles that you want to use, some do's and don'ts of phrases that you don't want to use, because there's so many phrases that a lot of agents use on a regular basis that are so tired, so recycled, so they're just very unprofessional. And for some reason in this industry, people tend to mirror what other people are doing because that's just the nature of the way to do it. Where in other industries, people have a whole different diverse ways that they're approaching their business. You don't have to have the same phrases that every other agent has. Okay. So you want to create some plug and play type templates to save you time. You want to have some social media graphics that are also, grab and go. You can have those set up ahead of time so you're not having to sit down and say, I need to create a social media post. It's already created. You're just adding content or copy to those templates. And then it's also good for like newsletters and for custom signage and whatnot. But here's a quick win for you. Take a look at your current social media. Grab one of the posts. Does it sound like you the way it's written? Did you just plug that into ChatGPT and it gave you this like boilerplate, like, response out? Did you write it yourself and you just wrote like one little line that didn't really resonate with who you are? If not, this is a good indication that you should possibly put together a brand voice and tone guide. So that way you have some type of a framework of how you're going to approach your brand voice and tone. Let me give you some examples of that. Let me jump out of this screen share here really quickly. And I'm going to go over to, let me stop this screen share. And then I'm going to pull up another one here. what can I just, let me just shorten this here. Here we go. So I'm going to go into a couple examples of some good brand voice and tone. Laurie Averbeck kills it with her brand voice and tone. This was put together a couple years ago now, I believe, and she has always been on brand. She has really spent a lot of time dialing in exactly what her voice and tone is. So she just recently did a video with Larry, and she talks about AI. And the way she approaches AI is a lot more of an advanced approach than the typical person does. Her and I have had several discussions about how she can just dial in more of it, of it sounding like her, or giving the AI examples of her past writing or past posts, so that that voice remains consistently across all of her posts, her emails, her newsletters, and everything she does. But it all started with having a brand guideline. One of the things that I highly recommend, like Laurie did here, is to go out and get yourself a photo shoot. Some of you have the same photo that you've had for 10, 15, 20 years. I was guilty of that. I was just lazy, didn't change mine. But go out and have a photo shoot, so that way you can capture different emotions for different repurposing reasons, depending on what the platform is that you're actually on, whether it be social media, whether it be a newsletter, whether it be a website copy, or whatever it may be. Having multiple different photos gives more of who you are, and it just increases the trust factor, and it's actually just more polished to look at if there's more than just one headshot image. Okay, so as you can see, if I go back, we've got a brand story, we've got a mission statement, we've got a vision statement. Here's some key personalities of Laurie's brand. She's empowering, authentic, interactive, transformative. She likes results, and she loves to have fun. All right. And then we went into, designing a logo that remains consistent with some different lockups. We've identified what her fonts would be, as well as her color palette. And then it just, like I said, you can have some examples of what Just Listed and Just Sold open house flyers look like. And if you have all this vision already done, it just makes it so it's more professional, it's more consistent, and you just build more of a memorable brand as you're moving forward with your business. So Laurie's done an incredible job with keeping her brand tight. Okay. So another example would be what is now the Harold and Gomez. I'm not going to say group, Harold and Gomez. So this is Carolyn and Tina. As you can see, they have their own distinct look. It's not the same as Laurie's. It's not supposed to be. But the same core principles are the same. There's a biography, there's logos, there's a color palette, there's some typography. So we go into, what their biography is. What do they stand for? What do their business stand for? Who are their clients? What have they done? Then we go into, some of their logo lockups, keeping logos consistent, but different lockups in color inversions and whatnot. We can go into what some of their social media would look like when staying on brand, so that this remains consistent. What types of images are they using in their social media posts? What's their color palette and tone, so we know what the hex codes are. So every post and everything that's done, from business cards to flyers, all have the same fonts and colors. It keeps it consistent across the board. Okay. And once again, we've got some fonts here, and then there's just an end of their lockup. So that's just a nice polished brand. Okay. And then in addition to that, a layer above this is to have what is called a brand voice and tone guide. And I'll show you this really quickly, then we're going to keep it moving. If I can find where the heck I put the present button on this. Okay, so if we're looking at brand voice and tone, the importance of this is to make sure that everything that goes to the public, that is shared with clients, that is shared on social media, that's shared in emails, that's shared on flyers, and shared on brochures, is in the brand tone of Harold and Gomez. Okay, so it gives you a breakdown of what their voice qualities are: warm and neighborly, smart and reliable, community focused, optimistic and solution oriented. If you know those girls or those ladies, that's who they are. They speak directly to families seeking forever homes, first time buyers looking for guidance, upsizing, downsizing of homeowners, and local investors and waterfront dreamers. So that's kind of who their audience alignment is. Some emotional connection of some things that is said often on their social media posts that they can kind of anchor to better enhance the brand. As you can see, and here's some things to not say, dream home expert, helping you every step of the way, won't last long, hot listing. Those are just all very canned things that don't have any emotional resonance to them, helping you build a life you love on the Florida coast. This just resonates more with who they are. Your local guide to all things Pinellas. Warm welcome to your next chapter and position to attract the right buyer. Those are all those things that sound better from a brand standpoint. Okay. And then here's just a few more things that we can kind of talk about. Signature phrases. We talked about avoiding cliches, regional cultural anchors, talking about walkable neighborhoods, like lifestyles in Pinellas County, local events, community roots, feeling of coming home, and avoiding like a touristy language when speaking. So that's just an idea of what a brand voice and tone guide is. And to see it translated into like a real perspective here. So this will be like a social media, as you can see, banner ad is on brand, has the logo, the fonts are ideal. Then when you're building out like some community type posts, like P is, for example, in the Gulfport, this specific post is on brand. The voice and tone of the way this is written is on their brand voice and tone. And I can get further into that. And if you're feeling intimidated, how do you do this, or you need some help doing this, I'm here to help you navigate this every step of the way. If you need help with this, please, please, please reach out to me. I'll sit down and we'll break it down to the basics. We kind of have this down to kind of a system now. I can really help flatline your learning curve of this. I won't necessarily do all the work for you, but I'll definitely help you every step of the way. Okay. And here's another great example. Kelly Hayden has a very defined brand. All right. She has a very defined voice and tone, and she knows who her ideal client is, and she speaks to them in that fashion. So as you can see, her social media is always on point. Any of her posts are always going to be on brand. So this is another example of the power of not only having your own personal brand, but also riding the credibility and the global understanding of what Remax is as well. Okay. So I think I've beat a dead horse there when it comes to brand, voice, and tone. So let's jump back into the three different ideas for today. So brand voice and tone is number one. Number two is going to be lead generation. This is a big one. All right. People are constantly saying leads, leads, leads. I want leads, leads, leads. And I want to talk to you a little bit about leads. All right. So I follow a guy named Alex Hormozi and his lovely wife, Layla. They are entrepreneurs. They are absolutely crushing it across many verticals right now. Not only are they very good educators. They're almost billionaires at this point, and they always their content is just full of great business advice. This is called the Alex Hormozi Core Four, and when you really break it down, there's only four ways that you can generate leads. Okay, and I've talked about this before, but I'm just going to rehash this again. The first way is through warm outreach, one-to-one. Okay, so that is texting someone, calling someone, dropping in someone's DM that you know, from a warm outreach standpoint. The second way from a warm outreach standpoint would be content. So to your social media channels, if people are already following you in that scenario, it would be, a thought that that's a warm outreach. So you can be sending content, market updates, several different ways, just listed, vacations you're going on, achievements that you've made, whatever it may be, a restaurant you're having dinner at. Those are some warm to many outreach, right? So you have warm one-on-one and warm to many. The second is going to be cold, of course. All right. So cold outreach. So whether that be cold emails, running email campaigns, whether it be running DMs, like let's say in LinkedIn, searching out clients in LinkedIn. So that would be like a cold approach to one-to-one. But that's one-to-one. And cold to many, of course, would be paid ads. All right, there's a lot of power in paid ads. If the copy's written well, if the image uses good, you can really dictate how many leads based upon what your budget is in order to put those leads into your database to convert them into warm leads, okay, or clients, or warm clients at that point. All right, so some examples of warm private: reach out to past clients with news or referrals. The just checking in message works wonders. Warm to public, share market updates, client success stories, neighborhood insights on social media, what we just discussed. Cold to private, reach out to builders, to small businesses to introduce a clear value proposition. You know, maybe you've got a client appreciation party coming up and you want to reach out to a local business to do, you know, some type of a collaboration, and you want to give, hey, my value proposition is I will put my clients in front of you. I want to have a client appreciation party here. And there's ways for you to actually get into their spheres and their client base as well with that type of a you know, co-marketing type of opportunity. Lastly would be cold public. So trying to have a small budget and run some targeted ads to specific key zip codes or specific demographics. I got an example of that here. We go to this next page here. Currently, I'm running about, I think, 3 to 5 ads right now for various different agents. The one on the left here, this one I just ended today. It ran about 5 weeks on the listing. All right. This budget was between $10 to $15 a day. We averaged, well, actually, we generated about 50 leads. So that is for the 5 weeks, we had 50 leads. So that means there's been multiple quality conversations. Now, were all of them good conversations? Absolutely not. Okay, they weren't all, but the agents had several good conversations with these leads that have been generated, and we kept this cost per lead, you know, right below $10, around a 960 was what it averaged out to be for cost per lead. So let me put that in perspective for you. I was talking to Debbie Kemp in the Pasadena office. Her and I and Chip were having a discussion. We're talking about leads. So she had a lead that came in that she had in her database for a year. Okay. So she just had them on a drip campaign, text them occasionally, would give them a call, reached out to them, stayed in touch with them for a year. That person came to life after a year. And since that person had reached back out to her, Debbie has closed 7 transactions with that specific lead. All right. 7 transactions. That person was in her database for 1 year, but she was relentless with staying in touch with that person and staying front of mind. Now, why do I tell you this? Because you have a couple different factors you need to think about when you're talking about paid leads as well. CAC, which would be cost to acquire a client. So how much did it cost her to acquire that client? Somewhere around $7. I think she may have even gotten that lead from her brokerage, or I'm not sure if it was a paid account or not, but it was very low cost to acquire that specific client. But the number 2 factor that you really need to think about when it comes to your clients is LTV, which is your lifetime value of a client. You know, I personally had, when I was back in the field, the commercial in Tampa, I had a client I did like 7 to 8 transactions for. Okay, Debbie did 7 transactions, and this client is continuing today to refer her business on a regular basis. All right, so that's going to be more that the lifetime value is going to be more than 7 deals. So that's something to think about when it comes to lead generation and paid ads. Okay, and this is just another example of an ad that's running as of yesterday, I believe, for Moj. This just went live. I believe she's already had 2 or 3 leads come in the past 24 hours. So if you want help with running ads, and it's a little bit different than running a bull trail ad, because in-house we have a little bit more control over the copy. We have a little bit more control over the budget. We have a little bit more control over doing A/B testing and really dialing the ads in. So I recommend putting together a budget if you want to do this, reaching out to me, whether it be with a listing, whether it would be with an open house, whether it be with just sold, and we will spin up a couple different versions of an ad that I'll let you approve, or take a look at least, and then we'll do some A/B testing to make sure we get this ad cooking and get you some cold leads into your database to convert into business, into warm clients. Okay. All right, so that's enough about lead gen. Reach out to me and I'll be happy to run Facebook ads on your behalf. All right. Next, and the last thing we're going to talk about is video. This is one thing we've talked about. I don't know how many times we've talked about it, but a ton of times. Some of you are doing this, but what I can say, if I'm being perfectly honest, is you're not doing enough of it. All right, and there are some exceptions. Some of you really turn the corner and are really doing a lot of videos. And I know it just seems like it's a difficult thing, because maybe what do you talk about, or how do you do the videos, or I don't have anyone to edit them, and there's all these reasons why we don't do videos. And there are a few different tiers of how I would approach your videos. Okay. If you've got a $3 to $5 million listing, yeah, you want to do a polished video with great lighting and 3D animation and zooming in here and out and birds chirping and the boom lighting and all the drone stuff going through the house. All that stuff is important, okay, for a listing that's like a $3 to $5 million listing. Are all the tricks and the editing and all that necessary for every listing? Not necessarily. If you have the budget to do that, then go ahead and do that. But it's not necessary to do that with every type of video. Then there's videos like this one where what you're just information based, okay? And if you look over here on the hot and fast tools, you can do so many different things with, first off, just your cell phone. Secondly, Loom, which I normally use Loom for these Metro Minutes, but I'm using Zoom today. But it's the same concept. It's me showing you information with slides that I created in Canva, sharing my voice, my face here at the top on my laptop. Nothing more than natural lighting from my windows. I don't have a lapel mic, which I just bought one recently. I will be wearing a lapel mic because sound does really matter when making videos. And I bought a mic as well, so I'll be incorporating that over the next week or two. But it's not 100% necessary. Okay. So it's basically I'm face to face with you. I'm reading slides, that I put together, so I don't have to read them word for word, but sometimes I do. And I'm looking right into the camera. That's easy. Okay. You can do that with Zoom. You can do that with Loom. Okay. And I will put the link for Loom in the notes here so you can figure out. I think Loom right now is free for a 10-minute video. And then I think I pay maybe $17 a month for the pro plan or something. Very inexpensive, but very beneficial. You can be doing market updates. You can be doing listing presentations. You can be doing buyer presentations. You can be doing, first time home buyer presentations that you can record one time, use that put that on YouTube, or it doesn't have to be, there's all this text that's flying around the screen and all these images. It doesn't necessarily have to be that, guys. I'm just trying to reinforce that with you. Another tool that is a great one is called Big View. Big View is a platform. It's relatively inexpensive. It's an app. It has AI, so it can help you write scripts. And then what it also does is you can read from a teleprompter like this, if you can see this, either on your computer or on your iPhone. So you put your script in, and then it literally reads at a speed for you. So only you can see the script, and the viewers cannot see you reading a script. So you're looking directly at the camera, but there is a script that's going up to keep you on track. I'm horrible that I don't use scripts on a regular basis, which is why I ramble so much. But I probably should dial in and be a little more professional and stay on script. But some people, they can't do it without a script, and this is a great way to do that. It's a very inexpensive tool. I actually signed up for one of the lower tier plans. I'll look at the pricing here. There's a free plan, and then I think it starts at $12 a month, or that's yearly, but $25 a month, $39 a month is probably all you ever need. So that's just an idea. I'll make sure to drop that also into the notes. You can check out Big View. It's another great tool that will help you with producing videos. And it's very simple to use. Okay. A last one, it's called Opus Clips. To give you an idea what Opus Clips is, the Harrow Group, they're doing some long form videos. They have a great talented young man that's doing long form videos for them on a regular basis. And then what we do is we take those videos and we drop them in the Opus Clips, and it gives us, you see this clip here, this gives us a 30-second to minute short vertical video of the long form video. So instead of posting a 15 or 20-minute video, we can chop up the video and have multiple different cuts for additional social media content to use across different platforms. So that's what Opus Clips does. Okay. So I'll also drop Opus Clips into the notes so you know how to find Opus Clips. All right. So let's finish this up. Some use cases. Let me go back to present here. Some use cases for video. Okay, obviously walkthroughs. Some of you doing those already. Craig does those very well for if you want to hire someone to do a walkthrough for you. He does them for I think around $100 and $150 ish. So I highly recommend doing walkthroughs. You can hire someone to do those. Or if you just want to walk through a neighborhood with your cell phone and, talk about landmarks or talk about an historic building, it can be a 30-second quick punchy video that you pull up to, you've got your camera, you put your back camera on, and next thing you know, you're talking about whatever you're talking about, stop and publish. It doesn't have to be always polished. As a matter of fact, people are trending towards watching the unpolished stuff more now because there's so much noise with all these AI videos and baby videos and cats doing backflips off of diving boards and it just gets so noisy that it's just nice to have a video of just someone's face talking like you would with a normal person. So the power of a raw video like this, it goes a very long way. Okay. And then this is something that I used to do all the time is instead of like sending an email for a follow-up or something, or an email or whatever it may be, maybe in your car and you've got emails to your clients, why not just like really quickly do a video email or a video message to them real fast instead of like, "Hey, I gotta wait till I get back home." If you're already in traffic or you're already waiting at the DMV or wherever you can be outside, like doing some quick little video messages to send directly to your client instead of an email. It's more of a personal touch. It's going to resonate more, and it actually saves time. Okay, so here's a couple tips for you, and we're going to wrap this up. Keep your videos under 2 minutes to respect attention. If you have a long form video, that does belong on YouTube, and there's a lot of benefits to having long form videos. But for your social media feeds, keep them short, between 30 seconds and 2 minutes would be probably the top you want to have for a video like that. And then have a link that goes over to your YouTube. Because that's where you want your long form videos to live. Okay. Use a minimal background. I do, this is a AI image background that I generated, just because I wanted like kind of a St. Pete feel to it, to kind of keeping it fun, but keep it kind of minimal and not very distracting. I can even overlay a logo here if I wanted to, or add a logo to that. And then if you have a long form video, like this will be a long form video, I can actually chop this up into, throw in the Opus Clips, and I can chop it up into, depending on how each one of the content topics range, maybe I'll have more than others, but I may have like 5 or 10 little mini clips out of this video alone to repurpose for social media if I was going to use it in that context. Okay. So some things to think about. We're going to continue to lean into video and help you in any way that we can to encourage you to do video. I am not good on video either. It's obvious, So, but I'm forcing myself to do them on a regular basis. I think I've done like 50 something over the past year. And the reason is because I want to be an example to show you. First off, I know how to do this. I know like which tools to use. I can show you how to do a quick, Canva, or you even use Gamma, which is an AI presentation tool, which is even easier than using Canva. Get that done quickly for you and just pop out some videos and just stay committed to doing them on a regular basis. And just put your head down. The thing that people that are really successful in our field are doing, they're not smarter than anyone else. They don't have lack of information. We all have the same information. The only difference between the people who are in that top tier and pretty much any vertical, but especially in our industry, is just consistency. They're consistently doing the thing. They're not like thinking, I'm waiting for this tool, or there's just so many ways to do things. But the most important thing is to stay consistent. I promise you that is one, and that's with anything. It's with health and wellness. That's with learning a language. It just, consistency's king. All right. So wrapping it up here, the last thing I want to talk to you about is mark your calendars, July 17th, 10 a.m. via Zoom. We're doing AI Revisited. The reason for it is there's been a lot of stuff going on in the AI world, guys. It is going so fast, and I'm a nerd, and I try to stay up with it as much as I possibly can with podcasts or newsletters or whatever I can. Mostly so I can share and I can synthesize down some of the information to extrapolate some things that you could benefit from. So I'm going to give you a quick little snapshot of some things that have happened over the past several months since we've done an AI training. So I'm going to tell you what's new in AI. I'm going to give you 7 tips that are going to make you a pro with AI. I promise if you implement these 7 tips, you're going to be heads and shoulders above most people in the industry, if not in the world right now using AI, because most people are not using it the way it should be used. And I've got some tips for you. Also, I'm going to show you 7 of the best AI tools. Most of them are free. And then I'm going to drop a couple other surprises along the way. Okay. So keep your eyes on your email for Google invites. If you can't make it, of course, we'll always archive these, but we'd love to have you on the calls so you can ask questions and add some context to our conversation. All right. So a little bit longer than I wanted to go, but I wanted to make sure we covered some of those important tips. Covered a lot. I know a lot of those things seem like they're uncomfortable for some of you to address and to approach, but I'm here. We're here to help you. Your team's here to help you in any way we can with helping you implement lead generation, brand voice and tone, and brand guides, as well as how to implement video into your business. So until next time, if you don't know, now you know, and I'll talk to you guys soon. All right, bye-bye. And I'm out.